We start with Season 4 of Coach's Corner tonight. It's a very special episode for the 2012-13 season. We'll talk about the first 6 games. The team's 5-1, 10 of a possible 12 points. Home opening weekend as well. Powell River and Prince George are in town with a special night Saturday. And some special commitment news as well with 3 players. We'll get to that because Coach's Corner starts now.
From the Best Damn Sports Bar on Martin Street in Penticton, with our 4th season, this is Coach's Corner. It's the show that brings you insight to the on and off ice action of the 2012 RBC Cup National Champions, the Penticton Vees. Host Fraser Rodgers is joined by Vees head coach and GM Fred Harbinson, with the Best Damn studio audience for the Best Damn Vees talk. Now, here's Coach Harbinson and Fraser Rodgers.
Welcome back to the Best Damn Sports Bar, the first BCHL weekly WebTV show right here in Season 4. It's Coach's Corner, and already 4 seasons. And we start with a pretty good start for the Vees in our 4th season. 5-1 to start the year, sitting on top of the interior division. Conference play gone back to 3 divisions now, like we saw a couple years ago, but 6 games, I'll say with an asterisk, on the road, with 1 at the showcase deemed a home game, but 6 games, 5 wins, almost you go 10 points out of 12. It's a pretty good start. Did that surprise you? You know you had a good team when you recruited this class, but that surprised you with those games away from the SOEC being 5-1?
Yeah, it was a tough start with only 4 returners, and you talk about youth. It's not always age. It's about experience and junior hockey experience with your program, and there was a lot that needed to get in and established on with our guys, and to be 5-1 on the road. I mean, we probably going in secretly in our own room, maybe in our own coach's room, and 3-3, 4-2, whatever it would be, and to be 5-1, we're pretty excited with that.
1 game out of conference, a big win. 2 games, Prince George now. I got to catch myself saying that in the mainline division. 4 of the 6 divisional games, so big games already early in the year. 2 wins in West Kelowna against the Warriors, 1 in dramatic fashion, a double overtime win against Vernon as well. The cardiac kids, people are calling this team. You've seen a lot of comebacks from this team. Is that a sign of some good character this early on with coming back from a couple deficits? West Kelowna 3 deficits once against Vernon. They tie the game late, but the team bounces back and wins in overtime. Is that a good sign to see this early?
Yeah, it's showing that even though we don't have a ton of experience, a lot of guys. I think we've only got 8 players that are 19 or older, and sometimes that's where you'll make mistakes when in the tight games late. But this group here is showing that they're they compete very hard, but stay in the moment and don't panic in tight spots. And whenever you go through these different situations, especially early in the year, you kind of put that situation in the bank, and you'll probably draw from it later on in the year.
You talked about this team being a young team. Crunch the numbers, youngest team in the BCHL. Average age, if I'm correct, is 18 years even for this team. Are they beyond their years maturity-wise, just going from your last point with coming back, beating Vernon double overtime, beating West Kelowna in overtime, holding off Chilliwack in the opening game and a 2-1 win? Does that show a lot of maturity for such a young team?
Yeah, and I think that as a staff, we try to make sure that we prepare them each and every game, just like we did it in the last few years. We take a lot of pride in our video work and our pre-scouting, and just trying to make sure that we go over as many things as we can without overwhelming them, going game in, game out. But as you mentioned, we're happy with the record. There's still a lot of work to be done, but the other good thing that you look at it, we haven't had an easy. You look at the teams we played. I mean, they're all formidable opponents, so it's exciting getting ready for this home opener.
No weak opponent as of yet in the Vees schedule, and doesn't get any easier this weekend. We'll talk about that later. You talk about standout performers from last year. You can a laundry list of players on that team. Early on, Sam Muller, Wade Murphy as advertised, up in the top scoring for the team. What about Mike Redbury? We knew he was going to be a playmaker, a speedster as well, but with Wade Murphy being in the lineup the last couple of games, some with Louis Nanny, has he been a surprise as how much offense he's got this early, going from Junior B, new province, first time really away from home, a lot of adjustments just outside of hockey. Was that a surprise seeing how many points he's put up early, and big ones, overtime goals, game-tying goals?
don't know if it's really a surprise, but I mean, it's something that we knew that we thought that he would be one of the guys, him and Brad McClure coming from the same league, the Junior B loop out there that we've had success with before out in Ontario, that the transition might take a little longer. And a guy like Mike has just gotten better like from day one till now, and you can see every week it's really interesting to watch his progression right before our eyes. So when you skate, I've always said this, when you skate well and when you compete hard, you put those two things together and a lot of great things will happen for you. And we've got a lot of players that are playing with those two attributes right now, and he's definitely one of them.
First couple games, the top two lines you could say were scoring a lot of points. Last two games heading into this weekend with the Murphy and Nanny out, you've seen a lot of different looks, obviously, juggling the lines. And you've seen a lot of goals from that. Alex Jewell getting a key goal, Dexter Danks as well, Cam and Matea getting a key goal in West Kelowna. Is that encouraging to see, the scoring up and down the lineup as well over last weekend?
Yeah, I think the one thing to draw back on is that, when we talk, early in the year here about our inexperience or the youngest team and all this is, some teams like to find ways to make excuses. We are never going to be that way here with us. The reason we talk about our inexperience or our youth is more for the excitement of what can be down the road. And I think when we look at these players that you mentioned, Danks, Amatea, Jewell, there's blindly all these guys are going to just, I think, grow up. They're all going to get better and better over the next few months. We think that some other teams might be what they are now. The same 3 months from now when you have an older team and there's not as much room for growth. And with our group, we think that there's a lot of room for growth and. So that's what really makes us, it gives us something to strive for and look forward to.
It's scary for other teams, the ceiling being that high for a team that's 5-1 already. We talk about those players, Danks, Jules, Amatea. You had a good quote. The Province newspaper had a good article, Steve Ewan, with you about this team with maybe no hangover. You see it in this NHL, they always talk about hangover, but you said when you look down your bench, you can't really tell what your first line to your fourth line is. You talk about that fourth line of Amatea, Jules, and Danks. Has that been kind of maybe a revelation a bit to how well they've adapted, finding regular shifts, you putting out there in key situations, late in games? Is that encouraging having a line like that?
Well, no question. And a lot of coaches will make that statement, and it's kind of just, those are just words of it. I mean, that line that you just mentioned, those guys were on one of our power play units this past weekend. And so, honestly, when we look down the line, like down the bench, and it's the same with Mike on the other end of the bench with the D-corps is, really, there's so many interchangeable parts, and which at times makes it difficult for us, but it's a great problem to have, and it makes it very difficult for oppositions to be able to key on one or two guys against us.
So we talk about forwards, so give the defense some love. A shutout against Salmon Arm, and a very good effort again against West Kelowna late in the game when they're trying to press in Saturday's win. 7 defensemen you rolled over the weekend, guys coming in and out. How challenging is that? Because you're not maybe playing with your regular partner for the whole game, but it seemed like the chemistry was there given any kind of partner situation. Was that something that maybe was encouraging, seeing the chemistry of the 7?
Yeah, I would think so. And it isn't easy running 7 when you're running 7, and it was something that we decided to go with. And I thought, and I'll say it again, last year one of the biggest attributes that we had was a group of guys that we're all about the team and not about the individual. And when players buy in, if I'm getting 5 shifts or 10 shifts, whatever it is, just make sure I do my job and keep my chin up and chest forward. And if you do that, good things will happen for you. And I think that with the D-corps right now, nobody's kind of really looking around saying, where do I fit? Why am I not in this spot? And I thought our D-corps were a big reason we got 4 points last weekend.
Talk about the defense. Last year, you always had that pairing of Buchanan and Kyle Beaulieu be out there late in the game, eating pucks, eating time. I don't want to make comparisons, but I do because I'm in the media, and that's my job to do that. But do you see Brian Sins and Rob Mann? We saw them play together a lot this weekend. Do you see that a little bit in them? Sins seems like he's blocking every other shot on the weekend. And those two guys, maybe they can be defensive stalwarts as the season goes down?
Yeah, there's no question about it. It's to win championships, you need guys like the two you just mentioned, and we've got others that can step into that role as well. But they're embracing it right now. You got Rob Mann, who's committed to Robert Morris University, and then you got Brian Sins, who's still available, and someone's going to get smart in a hurry because you know, Brian is a player that can help any college program when he's done here. You can't have 6 defensemen or 7 defensemen that are all the same type, and you need guys that are going to do some heavy lifting for you, and he's one of those players. Doesn't say a lot, but does a lot of his game, I guess, in the ice speaks a lot for him, for Brian Sins. We kind of shift gears here, and you talk about the interior. 5-1 for the Vees, 10 points. You're 4 up on Vernon, who's in second, followed by West Kelowna. Just want to get your general impressions. Any real surprises, way things are shaping up, or maybe it's just at this point a little too early to make any real... Yeah, I think it's too early to really, you know, I don't get hung up on numbers right now. I mean, it's just, I'd rather win games than lose them, obviously, this at any time of the year. But, hey, we saw, you know, a Vernon team last year that started 7-0 and never made the playoffs. So, I mean, it's a long, long season. You know, you just kind of, you know, stick with your game plan, believe in what, you know, the way you're doing things, and you know, right now, I think our division is going to be strong as ever, and then there's a lot of other good teams that are, you know, there's some teams that have kind of resurrected themselves. You know, Victoria being one, and you know, I'm sure Nanaimo, as the year goes on, will get better and better with them hosting the Western Canadian Championship. So clearly, Coquitlam's another team that is off to an amazing start. You
only played Vernon once at the showcase, so neutral site, you would say, but lots of drama in that one, the double overtime. West Kelowna is geographically probably the closest rival. Do you think maybe the season series, I know it's only 2 games in, but it seems a little bit more tighter, a little bit more dramatic so far in 2 games? Do you sense that, or is it for you just like every other year now, 6 years?
Yeah, you know what? It's you know, the games in our division are always tight. I mean, there's not a. Last year was a bit of an aberration with us and Vernon, where the one loss we had was a lopsided loss, and then we took it to them a handful of games where there was only a couple close games, but that's not going to happen. That never happened in the past, and it probably won't happen moving forward. There are going to be a lot of close games, but that's why players come to play in this league, and that's why I love coaching in this league. If it was easy, you know, why would we be here? So you know, I think there's a lot of, you know, there's been some very good games, as you mentioned. I think the one thing I'll agree with you is that I think the level of play, the pace of the game has really increased for this time of year over the last few years. I think the players are training harder and harder in the summer, so when they get here, they're ready to go from minute one.
A lot more polish, yes, the interior division we've seen already. That'll be it for segment 1. When we come back after the break, we'll talk about some adversity teams faced already early on in this season. We'll also talk about some commitment news, some big news on last week when it comes to 3 players on the Vees, and get to the weekend preview. PG and Powell River. We'll be back from the Best Damn Sports Bar. This is Coach's Corner. Jam-packed weekend of Vees hockey at the SOEC. On Saturday, get down early to the rink. Make sure you get there for the party on the plaza outside the SOEC starting at 3. There'll be a barbecue, live music, and lots of kids' activities. And then it's a special banner-raising ceremony and pregame festivities starting at 5. And don't forget, on Sunday as well, it's a Skate with the Vees, proudly presented by Tim Hortons. Bring your skates and hockey gear for after the game. You can go right on the SOEC ice and skate with your favorite Vees. A busy weekend at the SOEC. And welcome back to the Best Damn Sports Bar as we roll into our second segment and some commitment news we can talk about. Most recently, on Thursday, Chad Katner committed to Notre Dame University for next season, 2013-14. So another Fighting Irish to the alumni list. He'll join Mario Lucia and Stephen O'Fogarty as they're there in freshman seasons. But an interesting story, Chad Katner. Maybe, as you said, not the best regular seasons for him as a rookie last year. Revelation. Silver lining with Mike Gartig's injury, revelation in the BCHL playoffs, and now he gets a scholarship early in September in the following year. Quite the 7-8 months for Chad Katner here, culminating with a scholarship to a pretty prestigious school.
Yeah, you bet. And you know what? There was a reason we went out and recruited Chad. I got a chance to watch him a handful of times myself, and I remember watching him at the Max tournament. I think getting 48 saves one night, and I think maybe 52 the next, and we had him out for a practice when we were on the island, and I mean, there was a lot of things that we really liked about him. And when we got into the regular season last year, after the camps and everything that he did real well, he kind of struggled a little bit in the regular season for whatever reason. And sometimes it's hard when you're the number 2 guy and maybe not getting prepared the way you needed to prepare. And by the end of the year, we had a little chat, and it seemed like the timing was good, because then obviously the injury to Michael there put us in a tough spot. And there's not a lot of 18-year-old goaltenders that have can say that they won the BCHL championship, and he did that. He stepped in a real tough situation, carried us through the BCHL playoffs, and then he obviously had a very good summer and came back with determination to be one of the best goalies in junior A hockey, which at this time he is, and we're real proud that he's been able to secure a scholarship to a great school like Notre Dame.
And his numbers don't lie this year. 5-0 to start the year in 5 starts, sub-2 goals against average, and a sparkling save percentage. Almost .950 this year. Does he seem to you this year rebound control has been a lot tighter? I know a lot of people have said that to me, how well he's done with rebounds. Less busier in the crease as well. I know Kyle Hamaguchi, the goaltending coach, would comment on this more, but you've been around goalies a lot. It seems like he's less is more right now for Chad Kadner.
Yeah, and it's something that we've always been trying to work with him, right? It's just, he's such a big guy, and sometimes, even last year, he'd make these amazing saves, but sometimes it was because he created a situation where he had to be a little more acrobatic than maybe needed to be, and he's, it's all part of learning the craft, and Kyle's done a good job. We had Roy Schultz in the previous year that worked with him as well, and who's moved on now. But I think Chad's come a long ways. But I think he's also starting to mature as a person. And when you mature as a person, you see things a little differently. And he's taken the bull by the horns. He's been a good leader on our back end and a big part of our success.
Yeah, old business attitude. He keeps on saying to me, long hair is gone. He's got the haircut. He's very serious all the time. So congratulations to Chad Kadner. You talk about 2 other players. Wade Murphy finds himself in a very good hockey program as well in North Dakota. That was announced last week, along with Sam Muller going to Western Michigan University. 2 good hockey programs, starting with Wade Murphy. Of his talent, a late bloomer, finding a good spot now for him. Really busted out last year in his 18-year-old season, 19-year-old season now. Before suspension, was top in the team scoring. Natural-born scorer, I guess, Wade Murphy.
Yeah, and a big goal scorer. I mean, he finds ways to score big ones, right? I mean, late in games and overtime last year in the playoffs, and we're just happy for him. It's a tough situation when you see he was committed to another school. He decided to make a change. At the end of the day, we have to support our player, and so he decided that wasn't for him, and it's tough because we have great relationships with a lot of different programs, and the end of the day, though, he feels that this is the better spot for him, and North Dakota, clearly we've had some great players go there in the past, and this will be a very good stepping stone for him, hopefully from here to North Dakota and beyond.
Yeah, Brett Hextall, Mark McMillan, Brendan O'Donnell, recent alumni to North Dakota, so pretty good lineage from the Vees to North Dakota. And talk about Sam Muller, taking a route coming back from college to Anchorage, Alaska, doing the 2-4-2 this year, playing for the Vees. Full course load for him as well academically. Winds up in Western Michigan, a program that's quickly rebuilding itself. Andy Murray, very respected NHL coach there now, turning things around. Conference champions last year as well.
Yeah, no, it's we're very happy for Sam as well. I mean, there's a lot of work for him to do with the schooling because, as you mentioned, doing the 4-2-4 transfer rule with leaving a 4-year institution, going to a 2-year, and then back to a 4, and he's taken full class load this year so that he can be eligible to play immediately next fall. So
it'll be a 2-year associate's degree, is that what they call it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So he's like I said, taking a full course load so that he gets to take those credits along with what he took at Anchorage, and together we'll get him an associate's degree, allowing him to be eligible next year. So
3 players going to 3 pretty good hockey programs. So the continuation of Vees success after Vees hockey going to the NCAA. So congratulations to those 3. And maybe talk about, potential players we see on the horizon now. I know Mike Redbury, Brad McClure, a lot of attention as well. Dexter Dang's already secured a scholarship to Michigan, but is there a lot of attention now on some of these younger players after 6 games so far this year?
Yeah, you know what? Every year we obviously have a lot of guys, and this year probably even more so. My phone's been ringing. That showcase, helped out with a lot of guys to get identified by some other schools that maybe don't come out as much, and so. McClure, Redbury my phone's been ringing off the hook for them. Noah Henry, Nathan Dale. I mean, you can go down the list. Cam Amateas had a great start. Alex Jewell, and so you know what, at the end of the day, our job here is to try to position our guys to, you know, to be able to move on from junior hockey to college, or if they choose to go the Western Hockey League route. You know, we're here to develop players, and this year's no different.
Maybe get inside a player's head. You played at Lake Superior. You had that decision. Is it a lot? Think about schooling and then also trying to keep your junior day-to-day life still in order. Is there a lot going on in a young guy's head?
You know what? I mean, the old saying is time management. I mean, it's you know, there's enough hours in the day to get everything done, and as we all know, all the rest of us adults know that there comes a time where you got to be able to get a few hours of work in, and be able to handle your kids and your significant other and so forth. So I mean, it doesn't get easy. You know, this is the easiest time of their lives. They go to school, they play some hockey, they have to train a little bit. You know, I think you know, as long as you're not letting the extracurricular stuff take over your life, then there's plenty of hours in the day to be successful.
And obviously, I don't think the commitment news will stop anytime soon. I'm sure we'll have a couple announcements in the coming weeks regarding other players. And kind of transition here, some new things to the BCHL. You talked about the showcase. That was a good event, obviously. Chad Kattner getting exposed there and getting some eyes on him. But there's rule changes as well this year. I want to talk about that. No touch ice, or no changing on icing, I should say. So the defensive team, when icing the puck, is not allowed to change. Have you seen more offense or potential offense created from this early on in 6 games? I know a lot of broadcasters, we've been talking about it. Do you like this? It falls in line, obviously, with the NHL, and obviously gives a chance to have more offense.
Yeah, I think it's a great rule, and I you know, we haven't seen major you know, changes from it, but at the same time, if it eliminates, if it gives makes a player think twice about icing the puck, that we're all for it. I mean, it's you want to keep the game moving, you want to make skill plays, not just dumping the puck down when you're in trouble. And you know, the other rule that goes along with it is if they clear it over the glass, then you can't change in the defensive zone. And I like that better than the NHL rule. The NHL rule, where it's a penalty, I think is a little much. You know, especially when you're already killing and you're just trying to clear it out. On next, it goes out over the glass. So it's I think both those rules have been real good for our league, and it will create more offense. Maybe not just more offense, but just more flow to the game.
Have you seen the chess match be effective when it comes to timeouts? I've watched around leagues some coaches burning timeouts earlier in games because they have a tired line out there. Does that play a factor as well with the no icing change?
Yeah, no question. I mean, it's going to be something that you have to factor into your game plan when you're trying to make decisions. And it's like I said, it's good for the league to keep things moving. Also,
if goalies look to be playing the puck, they'll wave off icing as well, so they got to stay in their crease. On icing calls also be waved off. And then when it comes to junior A supplement, the fighting rule has gone down to 4 fights now with suspensions after those. We see the OHL coming with a fighting rule now recently, 10 fights. Hockey Canada really trying to push and I guess push out fighting. Would that be something you're seeing now at the junior level with the junior A supplement?
Yeah, I mean they've kind of forced it upon us, and we just deal with it. And I was I probably was more worked up about it a few years ago, and now I just kind of move on and worry about the things I can control. And we're not a big fighting team anyway. We're a team that we want to play aggressive and physical and be hard on the forecheck and be mean around our net. And when the time comes, we have guys that are team tough that can handle themselves. And so the rules are the rules, and we'll deal with them.
Last comment, if you could, accountability, because maybe players now, they know one guy maybe has 3 fights or 2 fights. Do you think the respect factor might be affected when it comes to guys taking liberties on certain players around the league?
Well, that's something you always worry about when you start putting these type of rules in place, right? I mean, guys, the information's all out there, and the players know exactly where everybody's at. I mean, the players are always checking box scores. They're always keeping an eye on what other teams are doing, and so there's a good chance that could happen. And hopefully the game is played the way it was intended to be played, and there's nothing wrong with a fight here and there, and and hopefully nothing gets out of control.
I've seen Sam Miller have one spirited fight with Lyndon Martell up in Prince George a couple weekends ago. But Team Tough has been the brand for the Vees, and it worked well so far. Have one of these on their fingers from last year from a Team Tough standpoint. I want to transition again, rolling along here in Coach's Corner. You talk about team toughness, a team that works hard. Has this team forged an identity you wanted so far? Is it still a work in progress? I know I ask a lot of coaches to say it's early to look for identity. What do you see with this team or their identity moving forward in the year?
Yeah, I think we're just going with the same mantra that we've had before in the past. I mean, we want to be able to skate and pressure the puck and hang on to the puck when we get it, and you know, I think so far so good. I mean, we play with a lot of tempo and everybody's contributing right now. So it's, you know, I mean, you snap of a finger and things can start going the other way, right? I mean, we talked about earlier about a lot of close games, but the way we play, you know, when we watch video on these last 2 games we played, you know, sometimes you watch video and you go, hey, we weren't as good as we thought we were. Well, when we watched the video, we were maybe better than we thought we were, and so there was no luck involved in us winning those games. I think that we played the system that we wanted to play, and that means getting after the puck and not sitting back, and when we do that, we're going to make things happen.
All right, when we come back, we will get a preview of the weekend. Home opener on Saturday against Powell River and Sunday afternoon against Prince George. We'll preview those games after this. This is Coach's Corner from the Best Damn Sports Bar. Jam-packed weekend of Vees hockey at the SOEC. On Saturday, get down early to the rink. Make sure you get there for the party on the plaza outside the SOEC starting at 3. There'll be a barbecue, live music, and lots of kids' activities. And then it's a special banner-raising ceremony and pregame festivities starting at 5. And don't forget, on Sunday as well, it's a Skate with the Vees, proudly presented by Tim Hortons. Bring your skates and hockey gear for after the game. You can go right on the SOEC ice and skate with your favorite Vees. A busy weekend at the SOEC. Welcome back to our third segment here in Coach's Corner. We're getting a preview of the weekend, a big one, home opener for the Vees on Saturday at 5 o'clock against the defending Coastal Conference champion in the Powell River Kings. Team the Vees played last year in the Fred Page Cup final. No matter how many years you're in the game, coaching or playing, it's always special, I guess, when it comes to the home opening weekend for the Vees. Yeah,
and I think this year probably more than usual. You know, with you know, first off, you know, been on the road for 6 games, so here it is, the end of September now, and I think people are getting revved up to see this team play at home, and you know, the unveiling of the banners from last year, and then playing, you know, obviously a team that has a lot of history and tradition of being successful, especially in the last 4 years. So it should make for you know, an interesting and fun weekend for everybody involved, and hopefully we have some, you know, great crowds for both games.
Banner raising ceremony on the Saturday before the game. There'll be a special presentation with that, including a ceremonial puck drop, a big barbecue outside. It will be nice to see that banner go up. I know you don't like a lot of attention on the team before the games, but still be a special moment, kind of reflecting on last year when that banner goes into the rafters.
Yeah, you know what? As the longer you do it, you just realize that you know, you got to enjoy certain special moments, and this will probably be this should be the final kind of. You know, the closure, I guess, from last year. We got the rings last week, as you mentioned, and then now the raising of the RBC banner, and then it's just you know, straight ahead from there with this new group. And you know, the exciting thing is you know, is that everyone's starting to embrace this new team, and you know, it's always about trying to create your own identity and your own history, and so it'll be nice to look back one last time on what was last year, and then start building on what is in front of us.
And I'm already hearing comparisons from fans. Good to get that banner up there. Closure, move on, new season. Talk about your opponent, Powell River. Maybe a shaky start, but strong weekend against Cowichan. A couple of big wins, 5-2 and 3-1 at home. They're going back on the road. They'll be in Chilliwack the night before. Is that an opportunity with a day off to maybe pounce on an opponent that's played a game before?
Well, you know, anything you read or listen to over the last week or so, they've talked about you know, the Saturday night game. I don't know if they realize they are playing Friday right now. So Chilliwack might be the team that might benefit, because it seems like they're getting pretty geared up to come in here, and that's natural. Like, we've talked to our guys. You know, I think every team kind of gets geared up for us, and so I don't think we're going to have any advantage. I think it's going to be 2 real strong teams, 2 well-prepared teams, ready to go to war, and it should make for a fun night.
I know the teams are different. They have about 10 players gone from last year's roster, only 4 back for the Vees. But the styles, philosophies, Powell River always known for a team like to grind it out, aggressive on the forecheck. How do you prepare for a team like that? It's going to go after, you know, 2 forwards in deep and go after the puck hard.
Well, hey, it was not much different than what we saw with West Kelowna last week. So it's we're ready for it. We know the game plan. You know, we've already watched a lot of video on them, and we've already started doing specific things in practice that will get us prepared for that. And then it's about executing. You know, I mean, it doesn't matter if they sit back or come at us 100 miles an hour. You have to have the horses that are prepared to execute and make plays when they present themselves, and not get out of their comfort zone. You know, I mean, that's the thing. We played so well on the road. The one thing that could definitely hurt us if we allow it is to try to be something we're not. Now that we're playing at home, we don't need to impress anybody. We just need to be the team that we are.
And then I know you don't want to look ahead of game, but the following afternoon, also at 5, now a mainland team, and maybe some revenge factor as well. Prince George Spruce Kings coming into town for their first road trip. No regulation losses yet on the year for them. Looking like a strong team so far in the mainland division. What do you expect for that one? Obviously, you want to return the favor on home ice when you lost there up there 4-2, but what do you expect from the Prince George Spruce Kings?
Like you said, they're the only team in the entire league without a regulation loss, and it's our last time that we'll have a chance to play them. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, when throughout the year, you always want to say that you've beaten every team, and if we have to win Sunday to make sure that we can have an opportunity for that. So once again, I think they've done a real good job there with their general manager and their coaching staff has done a great job of making some changes and making sure they're one of the better teams in the league once again this year.
Yeah, 3 wins and an overtime loss as well, but no regulation losses in the column for Prince George. I know you just touched on it when we were talking about Powell River and the home opening night, but do you caution your team not trying to be maybe overly cute or too fancy the puck? Even though, it's at home, but you had the 6 games on the road, so you don't want to, change your style too much just because you're in front of your home fans.
Oh, exactly. It's one of the biggest pitfalls you can trap yourself into, and so you know what? It shouldn't matter where we're at. We want to play the same way, game in and game out, with different tweaks to depending on the opponent we're playing. But it doesn't mean that the natural principles all stay the same. And when you start trying to create plays that aren't there, that's when you're going to turn the puck over. You turn the puck over, it's going to end up in your back of your net when you're playing a good team like Powell River.
Now you had to juggle your lines with Louis Nanny and Wade Murphy being out. Both are back and both will be playing this weekend. Is that a good problem to have now, to kind of rejig the lines and see where players fall and getting ready for these 2 games?
You know what? We're going to be changing lines all the way through the year. I mean, it's just like going back to the first segment when I said that I look down the bench and people want to put labels on lines. I mean, I really don't have a 4th line or a 3rd line. I mean, the lines might change after the first period, and that just when you have the ability to be that way, 2 things. One is you got to watch that you don't mess up your chemistry with your group by making too many changes, but on the flip side of that is it makes it hard to scout and defend against and to game plan against, because you don't know what's coming at you on any given minute.
And you have the home change now finally at home at the SOEC. See how that